Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. What's up guys, and welcome to a new video tutorial about web development. In this video we are going to discuss about the HTML elements. So the topics that will be covered are a brief introduction about the HTML elements, and then we will talk about HTML elements, semantic element, the container elements, as well as the void elements, or what we call empty tag. And after that, the display value of the HTML elements. Later on, we will talk about the file path, elements, and tags. And finally, the HTML elements attributes, and for example, the style attribute. HTML elements are the main block of a web page, which means each element refers to one content on the web page, such as image, video, audio link, paragraph, as well as a text. So we will use these elements to tell the browser that we want to include this content on our web page. Each element begins with an opening tag and ends with a closing tag. Let's say most of them. Here is an example of a web page, and as you can see at the top left of the web page, there are some images there will be used for the language that the page will be presented with, as well as here are some links here, and below there is a card of news and image. So it depends on you what content you are going to include in your web page. HTML language consists of variety of elements, and as I said just now, only empty tags or empty element will have no closing tag, but mostly the rest will have an opening and a closing tag. So each tag for the element will be enclosed in an angular bracket with the opening tag, closing tag, as well as the content between them. That's what forms the element. So we have two types of elements, the container element and the void element. The container element has an opening and a closing tag. A void element has no closing tag. The container element has content between the opening and the closing tag, while the void element has an empty tag, means there is no content there. Example of a container element, title tag or title element. So there will be opening tag, closing tag, and the title will be in between. And the example, full example is title and a Tawalbeh profile and the closing tag title. Example of an empty tag is the image tag, and as you can see, it spans until the backslash angular bracket, and that's it. There will be no other closing tag. In fact, the backslash indicates that this is an empty tag. When talking about HTML elements, we need to consider that the element may represent the content on a new line or on the same line with other contents. So that's what we mean by talking about the display value, and we can classify them into block element and inline element. From the name, block elements start in a new line, while the inline element does not start on the new line. It just continues on the same line with the other element previous than it. Block element will span to the width of the web page, and that means next content will begin in a new line, or let's say next element, while inline element span only to the width of its content only. Block element has a top and bottom margin. Inline element doesn't have this margin. And here are just a list or partial list of block elements as well as inline elements. So block elements include article, aside, footer, form, the headings tag from H1 until H6, and also header. And there are much more. Inline element include the link element, which the tag is A, the bold, button, I from italic, image element, input, and also label. Alright, so you may be wondering now, so how I'm going to write the code? Simply, each HTML web page begin with the doc type HTML tag. As we talked in the previous video, you'll find it up there. Each HTML code must or shall begin with doc type HTML to tell the browser this is an HTML page. And after that, there will come the HTML tag, which will have all other tags of the web page between the opening and the closing tag of that element. And you may also specify the attribute of the language. So here is English. After the HTML tag, we will have the heading tag, inside it title tag, and then we close the title and also close the head. After closing the head, we begin the body tag. We'll have the content of the body tag and also close the body tag. And finally, as I said, we will close the HTML tag. So all other elements will be between the opening tag of HTML and the closing tag. Here is an example. You see we have doc type and then HTML. HTML begins here and it's closed here at the bottom. Then it's followed with the head, and head have lots of other elements, the meta elements, as well as the title, and then we close the head. So the title begins here and ends here. After the end of the title, the head ends. As we said, the meta, the title will be helpful for search engine optimization. After the head begins the body, and then this one is a comment. Here is a link. Link begin here, ends here. Another comment, a heading begin here and ends here. A comment, image, and it's a closing tag. So there is no, it's empty tag. So there is no closing tag for it. And here is a paragraph. But the code here is written by capital letter because of the slide. So make sure that when you write your code, you write it in a small letter, lowercase. All right, so now as a developer, you need to work in a teams, as we said, and sometimes you come back to your work and you need to know what this code refers to without reading the whole code. And that's why we need to use a comment. So a comment will be helpful for yourself as well as for other developers, I mean your teammates. And it describes the purpose of the coming code. So, okay, this code is going to print a summary or a profile summary for my resume. So, okay, you have that sentence before you have the content or the element, the HTML element. The browser will care not about the comment. It will skip it. But comments will be for us, human readable, all right? The syntax of comment, or how we write comment in HTML, is by an angular bracket, exclamation mark, double dashes, and then the comment will be here, followed by double dashes and a closing angular bracket. From early video in this tutorial, we said that we have web 1, 2, and 3, and the web 3 is the semantic web, right? So when you are making your code, make sure to use the semantic elements. And from the meaning, from the name, it is going to talk or to be described to the human as well as to the browser. So it is going to be machine readable, and you will be using it to organize your web page content. So the elements include a header, nav for navigation, section, article, aside, and footer. So all of these semantic elements will be within the body element. So after you open the body tag, after that you can follow it with the semantic element, starting with the header element and ending with the footer. So the header will be at the top of your web page and the footer will be at the bottom. Between them, and to be exact, after the header directly, you will add the navigation element. Later on, after navigation, you add the section and the article. It's up to them. You want to start with section first and then article. You want to start with article and then section, depends on your use. An example of that, we have the body, we have the header, and here is a comment to tell what code to include here. So I have no code until now, except for this link to the home page. And we close the header. Then we start the navigation bar by using nav opening tag. The links to other pages on the website will be here. I have it as a comment. So there is no code yet. The closing tag, section, and then we have some content there, and close the section, footer, copyright details, and that's it. Mind that I did not include an article here. So it depends on your use. There are other elements in HTML page, such as headings, paragraph, list, links, image, table, form, and much more. When we're talking about headings, we are talking about titles or subtitles in your web page. Imagine that you are writing an essay, and in the essay, you classify it into a title of the essay, and then an introduction, a problem statement, and you have other titles there. So the heading tags will be used to highlight these subtitles, right? And mostly these headings will be followed by paragraphs. So there will be a heading, and then there will be some paragraph there, and then another heading and another paragraph. It can be one or more paragraphs. So why we need to use headings? You may use it to make a blog web page, a written tutorial web page, and essay web page. Remember that we have different level of headings, and it ranges from heading 1 or H1 until heading 6. The higher number, the smaller size. So H6 will be smaller than H1, as you can see in front of you. So we have here H1, heading 1, and you see the heading is very big. If we go to H6, heading 6, it is barely can be seen. It is really small. And yeah, H4 is the same size with normal writing size, okay? And then a P paragraph will be used to define a paragraph. So H1, H2, H3 to define a headings, and P will be for paragraph. And mind that these both are container elements, so it has contents between the opening and the closing tag. List element will be used to group items together, and each list item will be defined by using the li tag, li from list item. And there are two types we are going to discuss about, two types of lists. And there are two types of lists that we are going to discuss about in this video, which are ordered list. So it will be number 1, 2, 3, 4. And there is unordered list. It will be like bullets. Ordered list will be, as I said, 1, 2, 3, the Arabic numerical number. And we refer to it as OL, order list. While the unordered list will be U and L. And here is the code, how the code will look like for order list. So we have opening tag for order list, followed by the list items, and then the closing tag of order list. Same thing for unordered list, but the output, as I said, will be numbers and no numbers. Another element is the link, and the link is the main or the core idea. Next element is the link, and link is the core idea of the web. We said that web is there to link pages together, and yeah, this is what link element can do. So link element is use an empty tag. No, it's not empty tag. Next is the link element, and it is the core concept of web. As we discussed earlier, the web based on linking internet pages together, right, or to each other, or let's say the internet documents. So yeah, that is the purpose of link element, and the tag is a href. Href is an attribute to tell where is the web page, all right, or where is the document that we are going to open, and then the text that will be clicked so the user can go to this URL. And finally, the closing tag. You also can improve your web page with having some images there, images, videos, audio, you know. So the image tag is a tag consists of 4 attributes. Make sure to always have this attribute: src, alt for alternative, the width and height, and the code will look like this. So we start with the Angular packet, img tag, src to tell where is the image, and then an alternative text to be shown if the image cannot be loaded, as well as the width and height of the image. Sometimes when you are going to include an image, it could be on the same place that you save your web page. I mean the same folder. Or it could be on another folder. So if it is in another folder, you need to tell where is that image exactly. Otherwise, no image will be shown on the browser. So if the image on the same folder with the web page, you just have the image name inside the src attribute. So okay, fatani logo.jpg, that's it. However, if the image is inside one folder on the same folder of the web page, so you need to write that folder name. So okay, we have another folder called images, and inside it we have the fatani logo. If the image in a folder above the web page folder, so you need to have the double dot and then slash the folder name and then the image name. Finally, if the image in the root folder of your web page, you just write slash and then the folder name for that image and then the image name. Of course, if it is on another website, so you have the website link here. So this is something to remember, you know, seem like if you are open the command line or you are using the terminal, you know, you are going to move from one folder to another folder. So this is something to consider also when you are including a file on the web. One more element of web pages is the table element, and it will be used to specify or to write data within cells in rows and columns. So each table has rows and column. The intersection of row and column called cell. Each cell has some data. So here is a code for a table contain some departments in Fatani University: information technology, data science, English, and the head of each department, Mr. Fawzan Mapa, Abdul Fattah Masame, and Mr. Surat or Dr. Surat, and then the faculty name for each of these departments. So if you show this, if you have this code in your code editor and then show it in the browser, it's going to be a table of 3 rows and 3 columns. The last part of HTML elements are the forms. And you know, when you came to apply to study here in Fatani University, or when you are going to apply here, you are going to fill a form. And that form will include date, your name, and much more information about you. And this is important in web, especially when you are going to ask the user to sign in or to create an account. So you need to have a form there. And the form is going to ask the user to enter some data. A data can be as a text, can be as a radio button, can be also as a checkboxes, and also can be as a list. An example of what a form look like. So we begin with a form tag and ends with the closing tag. Inside it, we will have the content. So if we set the input type to be text, then the user have to enter a text. If it is a password, so the user will enter a password. If we want the user to select from radio button, so we need to set the input type radio, and then we will have the content as labels. Okay, so you are interested to learn HTML or CSS or JavaScript, that will be shown on the web page. We will discuss more about it in the class. Before a while, I was telling you SRC attribute, language attribute. So what are attributes? Attributes are a piece of information that additional about the HTML element, and it will be written inside the opening tag of the element. Attribute comes in name and value pairs. So it is going to be something like this one. So it comes in pairs. It comes in name value pair. So for example, we have src equal double quotation fatani logo.jpg. Some attributes, we saw some of it already. href with the link element, src with image element, alt for alternative used with image, width and height. There is also style to style the element, and there is id and also class. The style attribute will be used to add style to an element, such as a color, font family, font size, and other styles. Style also come as style syntax. Style syntax are style inside the opening tag equal between double quotation a pair of a name and a value. So the property name and also the value. Let's say color, for example, color and then the value black. Here is some of the properties are background color, a text color. Text color, we use the color property, and there is also font size property to tell the text size. And there are much more that you may go and explore by yourself. I'm sure when you start to write your own web page, you are going to understand more about these links. So go ahead and make your own web page. All right, I have a question for you guys. Right, 3, not in comment, 3, 4 element with the corresponding tag. List down in comment 3 void element. I mean an element with an empty tag. Salam.